Okay. This is utterly ridiculous. Um, I didn't just call like the Canton FBI and report this. My ex-husband had came up to me, after the guy had threatened to knife me at Giant Eagle, realizing he was attempted kidnapper, attempted carjacker. I had, um, let's see, um, and overhearing that one girl's phone call where I thought I was getting his girlfriend, those churches helping pay for this. Um, and then Dave told me he hired a man to kill me, realizing all the attempts on my life before then were them and how stupid was I. And then him telling me my girlfriend's rich and powerful, her family owns the police, you won't be able to withstand. I told him it wasn't a communist country. Nobody owned the police. So I didn't know who to call. And I live 10.6 miles out of town of Ravenna. So I Googled the 1-800 number for the FBI and I called 1-800 number. We'll assign an agent to call you back. Okay? An agent named Will called me. Officer Reinhardt Louisville knew him. He just retired within the last year or two, couple of years. Okay? He knew him. Okay? He left his number on a voicemail. Now, they had me so drugged up, I was crying and I couldn't move. It's not me. I literally went, it took me 3 days to even get myself together. I had to go out and mow the lawn, got air in my face, and I thought, I'll call Sarah, the one girl at Case Driller. Now, not only her, she knew of the threats on my life. So did her old co-workers that work with Kate. And I asked her to be a witness, and she said yes. And I put Will's number in a card. We took it out to Case Driller. We went up to Apostolic Church of Barberton. Paul Pamer got in Dave's face. My God, I had an FBI agent in my office. He's right there. I walk off. Dave comes in. Let's go. He threatens my life for calling the FBI on him. He knew I called the FBI on him. And he's swinging at me in the car, and I'm holding on the doorknob. Next day, I have to call Will back. My head's spinning, and the only thing I can remember is what a shame. Not the attempted kidnapping, not the attempted carjacking, the guy threatened to knife me, but the what a shame guy. Okay? All right. And he lists me an informant, big bunch of stuff. Okay? There was men on the other side. I lived at 4490 John Thomas Road, Ravenna. It was 10.6 miles out of town. There was a house before mine. One of my neighbors said he was a male nurse. The one after my house, no, there's no houses on the other side. It's just a big, long woods with giant trees real thick. But the house after mine was a duplex, an old lady on one side and a group of men on the other. They were outside mocking me for having a copy of my phone. Now, I forgot to tell Will that too. We asked for a witness. I told him I'd ask Sarah to talk to him, and gave me all these big promises. The next day after I talked to Will, I called Dixie and my daughter-in-law. She knew the threats on my life, and I'm telling her to stay out of it. And somebody broke in my house and heard it. I could hear them outside my room. And I'm telling her, no matter what, you stay out of this. And they said, man, that's not what's going on in here. And they take off. Well, I called my sister. Okay? And I'm like, Pam, and I forget what we were how we were talking about it. She's like, Karen, you call the FBI on those churches for threatening your life. I said, Pam, they're crazy. One's told on me. They have a copy of my phone and they're mocking me. I'd have to get a prepaid phone and call you at work. It's this crazy. What's going on here? She said, what? I said, never mind, stay out of it. I told her last year in June or July of 21 that I called the FBI. When did you, on Dave and the churches, when did you do that? I said 18. I didn't realize it. I was in the one Canton FBI. They have no clue of anything. Anything. The one out in Belden. Not one clue. They said, well, we didn't have a will work here. You must not have called anybody. I called the hotline. And then I got to thinking. Within 10 days, Dave's got caught on the phone with Dixie and the baby are next. Will teach Josh a lesson for let me down there. He was so angry he could cut his hands off, so he couldn't work. And before they had a list. Well, with these crazy people doing this, I Googled because Will said he was located in the Canton FBI. I Googled the Canton FBI number. It came up with a task force. Okay. I called. A lady answered, and I said, my name is Karen Hall. I'm working with Agent Will. My ex was out on the phone threatening Dixie and the baby, and he had a list. She yelled out, Will, he's got a list. I'm working on it. Okay. And then I seen the guy within a few days, and I called back down there. Will, we're busy. You tell those police up there to get a hold of it. See, where I was going to have Seth take that cell phone down, I wouldn't tell him what was in that package. I was going to have to take it to the courthouse. That's weird. He was located. He wasn't. There was 2 FBI buildings. One was the task force and one was the other one. Okay. No, I worked in a bank. I am not stupid. I can put your social in, and it will pull up every account you ever had, who opened it, and who touched it. I was in that Belden Village FBI. When I went to walk in that building, someone went around. I was already in the building in the hallway. You called your sister. That's why no one helped you. Did I ever have to stay quiet? They already knew. They told on me. They had a copy of my phone. I'll tell you what. No, I didn't have to stay quiet. And that's shit. That's shit. I told you. April 14, 22, Safe Law, 2 women investigators. It's sick what's going on. The word sick. They really did have a man pretend he was FBI before she called that agent back. It was a stunt for Dave to confront her in the truck. Because you called the FBI on me. Okay. They had people pretend to be her kids. Bad out there. Kids didn't know anything about him. It's been the people hurting her the whole time. It's so sick. The main cop that went to Dave showed up within a few days at Walmart. I'm sorry. And so I asked Dave about those people threatening her. Well, that's a requirement per Department of Justice that police and agencies can only be in a home under a threat of life. They have to speak to each person before they start, or it's abuse and misconduct and illegal search and seizure. No one could ever look at their shit. I went to the Portage County Sheriff's. They're denying any knowledge of these people. I went to the Ravenna Chief of Police. They're denying any knowledge of these people. It's retired Judge Pete. Looks like a little white Santa Claus. Friends with Ludick. Friends with Ludick, the magistrate of the county. Corrupted a couple officers in with some drug dealers. That's it. For his fugly, ugly daughter. And they're date rape drugs, they're photoshopping of shower scenes, and then framing me. They are the craziest people, and they need to open an insane asylum and just shove them all in and make the world a happy, safe place again. Seriously. They were telling, now I live on North Chapel on the edge of Chapel Ridge Road. There was a red brick building. They told the guy that raped me and smothered me that they made everything up about a week, 10 days ago, okay? And he's out there screaming, what do you mean they made everything up? They said they taped her before and they didn't care what we did to her. Well, it was all them. Screamed and he left. Some guy was over there, don't you tell anybody what's going on down here. You know why they don't want you to tell? So they'll get away with it and they come back and kill you. Now, that cop that went to Dave was at Liberty House here in front of the North Canton Jackson Police in the back. Okay? Now, he told them the worst thing he ever did wrong, honey, is bend over him properly. Made a mistake in front of them on the phone. You made up a case to watch her before. That's funny. You did what to her before? That's funny. She must really like him. Even the North Canton Jackson police that were working security, one of the nice officer walked out when I went to pull out, stopped traffic, the informants here. And it was nice of him, but it bears the hell out of me. Massillon police work it because they watch Dix, my daughter-in-law, on Federal Avenue, and because they tamper with their vehicles. They drive around trying to keep them safe. If I need to know something, a Massillon officer will come up to me and say something in uniform. The Stark County Sheriffs at Faith Family Church worked the case after everything bad happened. And this one officer, his name may be Henry, I'm not for sure. The people were talking about different names around me. He has whitish blonde hair, older guy, he's white, and he's got a little bit bigger nose. I walked by in heels one day, he's like, well, that's what I'm talking about. And I started giggling. Well, I worked in the bookstore, and he was in the security area, comes out, and he said, are you interested in working Karen around the house? What's that? One of us have to watch her or listen to her every day. Well, the cops play Karen's Will. Because Will was supposed to protect me. Okay? And they take turns watching me. Or one of us have to watch her or listen to her every day. Protected home custody. Only time you can be in there. So they've mentioned Hartville plays the informants here. Right? I was in Mercy Medical hospital emergency room. One of the protective life people, October 2nd to the 3rd, I'm over there in the emergency room because I'm having really bad headaches. She's outside talking to a Canton officer. She's an informant. I help watch her. All these people are lying on her. I'll make sure no one says anything to her. The main cop that went to Dave even told people I was an informant. He showed up. Dave beat me for not answering my phone because I'd almost got shot driving. Okay? And I ended up in the emergency room. He ends up there with some guys. He talks to the doctor in the back. I want to ask her about all these reports on these threats on her life. Doctor said, you don't realize what happened, and she's not talking to anybody. He knew of the reports on the threat of my life. He told people I was an informant. Okay? He was also at CSE Bank in the back. And I watched him walk out when my grandson Gabe got a wreck. Gabe got in a wreck. I got to go check on him. He was also at Dr. Rapika's office when the lady from domestic violence yelled at him so loud in the back room. You could see him through the window sitting there with the guys. Who yells at an angry giant but a mother, somebody who loves someone more than herself. Okay, these people sold a login to a protective life case by Christmas 18. They hacked into the police investigation and sold it. It's actually common knowledge. Okay? Faith Family Church, the first time I was in there in January 19, they come in behind me. She's an informant. People are threatening her life and trying to kill her. Don't tell anybody she's here. They told everybody, and then they sold them the login. My one client I watched out on Shepler Church Road, her neighbor, they had told her that retired Judge Pete photoshopped everything. Everything was drugged before. And she's told the police and I think an agent the other day because somebody said she was assigned to me to find out what's going on. And she was out there talking to her about everything. Because I told when I was in that FBI building, they act like they didn't know the case. They were too lazy to look it up. There was no will there. Well, like I said, I called the hotline, but I Googled to make sure Will was legit with them telling on me. Like I said, those women before I walked in that building, you called your sister, that's why nobody helped you. Why I didn't have to stay quiet, dumbass. They told on me the night before. They had a guy impersonate a federal officer, and he was seen in the other side of the duplex with those group of men. He's probably just a neighbor or drug dealer. Maybe on the lease. If we're not, then no who he is. I told you, the Minerva undercover police. Now, I went down to my oldest for, I went down to my oldest church for dinner. I went to walk out. They stick out like a sore thumb. I'm sorry, guys. You stick out like a sore thumb. Oh, we got all these new people in our church. I thought, I bet you do. One of their teenagers walk out. Hey, Karen, the undercover police are here. Glad you left your ex. He's a real idiot. And laughed and got in my car. Okay. They sold the login. So far, it's not funny. I can go to different places. They'll say, hey, Karen, did you know this? Hey, Karen, did you know that? Yeah. They made money at my expense. It's retired. Yeah. I went August 24th. I went in Sheets several different times. Um, People were following me, yelling and stuff. So I started the beginning, da 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 da, where they knew they photoshopped me, drugged me. People went to the Canton police. The Canton police have told people to not say anything to me. They already know where they were stalking me. It's all them. And they're looking for who's doing it. Well, I was in Sheets on Whipple Hills and Dales Road a couple times as I went to leave. Two ladies walk in with a teenager. Don't you dare say a word to her. I won't. None of this is funny. It's that Steve doing it to her. She doesn't realize he broke in and raped her before. And he's having all these people make fun of her. And the police all knew all those kids lied a long time ago. I know it's not funny. Well, I went through, there's a Burger King across the way. Lady in the drive-thru last year looked at me and said, you don't realize Steve raped you before. And he's the one having people make fun of you. I thought, what a mean lie. And then I got to thinking, oh my God. Maslin officer, November 24, 21, comes in stack here when I'm with my one client on it's a stack care emergency room on Wales Road, 8:40 a.m., November 24th, 21. I'm here to watch her. There's a Steve and Eric stalking her, and we don't know who they are yet. And it's finally got funny after everything they did. Nothing's admissible. Okay? They're looking for stalking. Then I got to thinking, well, I made love to Dave all the time. And then I had told my mother-in-law and a bunch of other people, I had a dream of a man walking across my room, laying down holding me, feeling safe in his arms. And his face was too blurry to see. My stepmother, Jan, she's like, Karen, is God showing you your future of being happy? If Steve holding me. And he had date rape drugged me. Where I woke up with bruises. And he was making love to me. I couldn't see it. I told my stepmother that. That's probably what was going on. She went like, oh my God, stay out of it and let them handle this. Because why would I dream that almost every night? And I'd wake up with bruises. Yeah. I remember just like a haze of seeing somebody walk, roll over, and they'd wrap their arms around me. I'd feel safe in their arms. I couldn't see their face. And then it got dark. It was him. It was him. It makes some more sense about the dream that I had all the time. And I made love to Dave all the time, so if he came in and raped me, I'd already been with Dave. I would have no idea. It's sick. This whole thing is sick. This whole thing is mentally ill, sick stuff. Mentally ill, sick stuff. They actually think I'm so stupid. Now, police and agencies can only be in a home under a threat of life. Failure to notify for initiating is abuse and misconduct. They have to speak to each person in that home. Fourth Amendment right to privacy is illegal search and seizure. They can't look or listen. Okay? That they could say, we had to corner watch you because of Michelle, Dave's ugly, fat, ugly girlfriend. Okay? I can fall for that. We photoshopped a shower scene in the other room. Myth they framed me to all the neighbors and everybody heard. And where I had bruises, we had sodium pentothal. Actually, we used ecstasy on you and told you to say all this crazy stuff and like I get in trouble. Okay. And like they could show up, act like they're going to arrest me and take me off somewhere and kill me. I'm not that stupid. Not even a little bit. I went to the Portage County Sheriff's. They have no idea about these people. I went to the Ravenna Police. The chief of police said they had no idea about these people. Because there's no such thing as a coroner. It's just retired Judge Pete paid off some dirty cops and some drug dealers from New York. They got a New York accent. They're telling people not to say what's going on down here because they want to get away with it and kill more. It's like my one client on Chapel Church Road, she said she was out there talking to someone. I was assigned to her today to find out what's going on. And she said, I call someone every day trying to help her. And they're nice of her. That's what more people ought to do. They ought to be blowing up the Department of Justice. The regular police they're state agencies. They could help me. Yeah, even okay. I know the police can hear me from the car from the protective light. After I got raped and tortured and warned to stay quiet, it took me a long time to even get a courage to tell on them again. Now, I would go up, sit outside the Ravenna courthouse, and I'd say something before I walk in, and the nice officer with gray hair, mustache, and dandruff, he'd say, hi, sweetie. I'll have the boys look into that. Okay? Ravenna, even the regular people up there call me an informant. Okay? They're so long. Well, I did it on purpose. A year and a half ago, I went up and I sat outside the courthouse. I called my sister and I started at the beginning. I remember that, I remember that, I remember that, I remember that. And I'm like going through everything. And I said, I got to go in and report this. I go in, and that officer's like, I said, can I talk to Judge Timothy Ludick? And I went to go in the back, or back where it is, and he was busy. And I went to leave. He's like, you can't leave. I said, I gotta go. He's like, you can't. He said, I gotta get someone to talk to you. I said, I gotta go. He's like, you can't leave. He had heard all that horror. He's like, you can't leave. He went and got some lady officers in Abigail Watkins. Now I'm going to get back to that in a second. But the Protective Life guys, a lot of them eat lunch in the bar across the street from the courthouse. One of the guys that would watch me up there, he come out when I got off the phone with my sister. He looked at me right in the face, and he looked at that guy. He said, "Where's that idiot that was supposed to be over the house?" He was pissed. Well, when I went down and talked to Abigail Watkins, Portage County prosecutor, with those two lady officers, a guy showed up for the state case, carrying around the house. I'm here for carrying around the house. Had my file. Walked off with the lady officers in front of Abigail. And Abigail was like, "I want you to make a report to the Portage County Sheriff's." Lady officer walked me out. "You hold FBI accountable. People got away with way too much. You can go make a report at that Portage County Sheriff's." And it was the boys. Because everywhere, it's the boys. The undercover police was one of them that raped me. They sold the login to the Protective Life case. Now, they're not the only investigators that have been all over this. I told you in Walmart, they chased off 6 stalkers, surrounded me. Even that main officer that went to Dave, when I told you Dave beat the hell out of me, he showed up at Altman Hospital within the first 45 days. Emergency room. Was in the back talking to the doctor. I want to talk to her about all the reports of the threats on her life. She's not talking to anybody. You don't know realize what happened. Well, if you show up, you have a chicken wing arm, a damaged rib cage, and damaged intestines. You've not been in a car wreck. Someone beat the hell out of you. She's not talking to anybody. In Walmart, some guy, he was there helping watch me. Some guy was being rude to me. He's like, "You leave my little informant alone." And I took off and let the suit handle it. I was in the suit that day. He was also at Rapika's office. I had called Dave an angry giant I was afraid of. Some lady from domestic violence showed up. I pulled into Dr. Rapika's office out in Warren. They're sitting in the back room. She comes in and looks at me. She walks in the back, and she's lecturing until I can hear him out in the waiting room. Who yells at an angry giant but a mother? Someone loves somebody more than themselves. He was also at CSE Bank. He was at Liberty House Share. Let's see. Investigators in Canton, when that guy at the Hunger Task Force, December 9, 21, told on him for photoshopping and drugging me, that they always do. He actually worked the Protective Life case. They had showed up by Christmas. Now they have tape and audio in there. My one client was getting food, and they walk out and said, "We're mad." This guy knew they did everything to her, and it's some guy named Eric, and we don't know who he is, and he's trying to help him get away with it. Well, security's walking around with a walkie-talkie. The informant's here. No one's to say a word to her. That was Christmas of last year. Okay? Just the police, like I said, the April 14th, 22, investigators. It's sick what's going on. At Save-A-Lot, they followed me in. They really did have a man pretend he was FBI before she called that agent back. It was a stunt for Dave to confront her in the truck. They had people bad-mouthing her, pretending to be her kids. Her kids didn't know anything about it. It's been the people hurting her the whole time. So where I walked in that FBI building, you had to get buzzed in. I'm sure they got cameras in there. They walked by me and said, "You called your sister. That's why no one helped you." Well, I never had to stay quiet. Ever. I was already told on dumbasses. They already knew. And everybody knows it. And there's no damn excuse to leave somebody up there to die. And let a baby get killed and my son and his wife. Now you tell me there's no damn excuse for any of this. None. Yeah, they think I'm so stupid. They come up and say, we had a corner and watch you because Dave was dating retired Judge Pete's daughter, Michelle. Oh, okay. You go to jail for that. We broke in and stabbed you with needles. Yeah, I had marks and I was sick. I didn't realize how I was getting banged up. We used sodium pentothal. Well, actually, it was ecstasy, date rape, drug. Told you to say something stupid. You didn't talk to me. You need to go to jail, crazy. Because I did have bruises and I was sick. We photoshopped a shower scene in the other room. I've heard about it from 10 people. And that's not funny. And that they could act like they're going to arrest me and take me out somewhere and kill me. I'm not that stupid, and neither is no cop in this area. They would have to say, we have this protected life case. Here's Dave's statement recorded of knowing the threat, and here's a recorded statement of Kieran asking for help and us agreeing to protect her. You don't have it, you go to jail for stalking. It's the law. The Fourth Amendment right to privacy. They can't even do a search warrant without without your Miranda rights. They have to talk to you. So who the hell do they think they are? And plus, then you got the right to remain quiet, the right to a legal representation, a right to a fair court trial, bail bond. You also have a right not to be mistreated. It's called the Constitution. And a right to privacy, that your homes are safe and secure. And then there's laws against working things for conflict of interest. There's laws for all this. They want people to stay quiet and not tell what's going on because they're doing it on their own. But Will did list me an informant. You know what, something? The promises he gave me. March 13, 22, I went to Altman Hospital. They're in there with fake badges, and they let him in the back. Well, they let him in the back. Talk to Dr. Alan Atinas about crying's done to me. I get mistreated because Eric's calling the hospital lying to him. And so I go over to Mercy Medical. One of Will's promises, no man will ever touch me. They tell the nurse that. No man was ever to touch her. The nurse comes in laughing. The only thing they had on you was adjusting yourself. I'm like, what? Guy standing there said, that's sex. She said, no, she just simply wiped off some water with clothes on. That's all they had. It's actually funny. That's how far their tapes are altered. She had nothing. Where I had bruises I couldn't explain, hand marks, and I had drug confessions before. With amnesia drugs. Yeah. She didn't have any wrongdoing and any wrong saying. She said it's actually funny, that's all they had. Then I told you March 2nd to the 3rd, 21, they were going to put 2 clips together, put me in porn. It's not me, it's them. That's where Edith Oakland apartment, December 9th, 21, 4 p.m. They told him everything was dark and photoshopped. He told the Canton Police. So did the guy at the Hunger Task Force, Stark County Hunger Task Force, 9th Street, white man, bald with dark eyes, distributing food. They have tape and audio in there. December 9th, 21. And then before Christmas, they're out in the hallway where there's cameras talking about everything. And they called me a informant. Hartville police pulled up their informant there. Ravenna was a sweet town. Not everybody's bad there. I went to go up for divorce hearing. Okay? And they're out walking around. We all know she's an informant against her husband, and we're here to make sure she's safe. They sold a login. I told you the protective life people that the state hired for the protected custody case. They'll scream at these people for doing this. They can't arrest them. They're the criminals. So yeah. Now I'm gonna tell you. It's retired Judge Pete. Some drug dealers paid off some dirty cops, thinking that they could try to make it look official and just start killing people and taking over down here. It's not funny. And that Steve and Eric are wanted by the Massillon Police. Massillon works the protected life case. Some of the Stark County sheriffs worked it at Faith Family Church. I told you the one cop thought I was pretty. I walked by in heels. Now that's what I'm talking about. And then I worked at the bookstore. He comes out, and his name may be Henry. I don't know. They were talking about a couple different names. And he has whitish blonde hair, a little bit larger nose, and he's thin. He's like, are you, the other officer in uniform, are you interested in working here around the house? What's that? One of us have to watch her or listen to her every day. They have the protected home custody where Will took a statement, listed me informant, um, agreed to protect me. I never had to stay quiet one day because they were that advanced. They had a copy of my phone, were mocking me. They had the men on the other side of the duplex. They had one show up and pretend he was FBI for called him back. They already knew with their mission that they were in my house, that they knew. And in Maslin, because they sold the login to regular people, even Perry, one of my grandson's teachers had it. We all know what's going on in All About Her Family. They kept selling the login, and they were talking about it in Walmart. Walmart police even worked at the protected custody case. This one officer, tall with gray hair, I'm an officer, Karen, I'm going to walk you out. And he said, I'm actually the one you sing to at night. I was in protected home custody. I'm supposed to have a life of peace as an informant. Nothing legally stated, dated against you again, and only for you would we ever do this for. We'll pull it back to the traffic ticket even when it's over, and we'll put it back as if it never happened, and you can't be legally charged for anything for working this case. I'll put $5,000 a month in a thing, an account for you to have money to move out. Now, where they set it right outside that office in that locked building, no one helped you because you called your sister. Did I have to stay quiet? When I'm telling her, she's like, you called the FBI on those charges. It's like, Pam, one's already told on me. And they got a copy of my phone mocking me. I'd have to get a prepaid phone calling at work. They're crazy. What? Never mind. Stay out of it. Even my client on Shepler Church Road, one of our other neighbor, we called her sister. She didn't know if she called the FBI. I told my sister last year. You know what she told me? When did you call the FBI? I said 18. She's like, I didn't realize it. No, she didn't. And did I have to stay quiet with them already impersonating a federal officer? Canton already knows it was a cheap stunt. And they already know all the tapes were altered, and they're telling people not to say anything to me. That none of this is funny. No, it's not. And for them to act stupid. Like I said, I worked in a bank. I worked for loan companies. I could literally put your social in, and I can tell you every account you had, who touched it, who opened it, and who did what to it. So, yeah, they could actually even just call the main office. The 1-800 number. Karen called it. Here's their social, who she talked to and who she assigned to. Who is assigned to her. Boom. There's the case. Told them, I said, you need to call the Maslin police. There is a protected life case. They work it. Told them what the officer said to me in uniform. Told them March of 19, some guy had bumped me. African-American officer, young guy, got on his walkie-talkie. Tell Bruce I'll take care of Karen while she's in town. Bruce was over the drug and gang unit. They didn't know who these people were and were watching it from Maslin and horror. And the officers that were over me were bragging they were staying out of it for the girlfriend. And some guy running it wouldn't let him help me, and I found out it was retired Judge Pete. Will left me up there to die. Now, Faith Family Church, first time I'm in there. She's an informant. People are threatening her life and trying to kill her. Don't tell them she's here. They sold a lock into Faith Family Church. My one client on Shepler Church Road, her church, had it too. They keep selling it. I went in Citizens Bank, February, March of this year on West Us. Someone looked at me and said, look, it's Karen around the house. It's like, would they stop? When a man can in Canton, May 19. Karen, if you didn't hear John's kids right on the third step up. Dave's girlfriend isn't Michelle, it's Michelle. Well, they also get caught stating later on they were making everything up in the basement to Flora. That's why Flora was laughing at it. Of course it never happened. Of course it wasn't true. We made it up. It was a game of pretend. They're documented me games of pretend. Maslin tells everybody I'm innocent of everything. My stupid ex-daughter-in-law friends with Fugly Ugly. Had the kids make up a lot of mean game or pretend, and where Dave said I had men all around me, kept acting like they wanted me. They were undercover police, investigators, and security guards chasing off stalkers. They were a little busy. My brother seen them. They followed me clear to Medina, and we were talking last year. I said, do you remember when we were in Walmart that 6 to 8 more men staring there watching us? They kept standing there staring at us. He's like, yes. I said, those were my security for the day. He said, I seen them. Like I said, the Canton police seen them in the back of CSE Bank. They were in the back of Liberty House Share. They were in Walmart, and that main cop talked about Will too. For Will gave Karen no wrongdoing in life because she wouldn't abuse it. I have one traffic ticket from 89. When those agents are like, well, we'll call Maslin. I said, you call Maslin? It's going to be quite a opening. They were too lazy to look anything up. And those girls getting smart that no one helped me because I called my sister. Dumbasses, they already told. Can you ask somebody to be quiet? When somebody already told, and they were so advanced, they had a copy of your phone, and they were date rape drugging you, and they have already admitted they were stalking me in my house, and all this was a cheap stunt. No. For Fugly Ugly. And Dave's girlfriend is Fat Fugly Ugly. Yeah. Where they kept saying she was beautiful. Well, this fat girl showed up. Blonde. Tall. Big chest. Slop. She's ugly. She kept saying she was sleeping with Dave. She showed up and tried to grab that cell phone. She was outside Dover Hospital where my one friend was her phone. Her son was supposed to have cancer. Okay? Well, I'm a good person. And what's really bad is her regular phone's off. So I took her phone down. One of my protective light guys are in there. Boy, I knew they made everything up. Well, all the cops know they made it up. I go out, and there she's standing, 5'7", 5'10", Dover Hospital, what was it, a week ago Friday, out there smoking a cigarette, 300 pounds, and sloppy. I know it's not funny. I wanted that cell phone, and I was going to steal it. She thought I was stupid enough. I'd leave it there and just say, will you give this to Dee Dee? And she'd go in and say she's Dee Dee. I only hand it to Dee Dee, sweetie. I'm not stupid. And she's like, those people that were helping out today told me they never want me around them again because they found out what we did to her, and none of this is funny. I already haven't got my car. Okay? Yeah. It's one officer in uniform that told me it was a state case. And there's so many counties involved. Told you, I went to dinner for my oldest at his. They had it in another building, for his church, and they said, "Boy, our church has really grown lately." I'm like, "I bet it did." And you could see these guys, and they look a little too rough. You know what I mean? I thought, oh, you're undercover police. You're playing it a little bit too much. I go to leave. Well, they're teenagers. Well, the police are kind to me. I almost died to save my family. When the teenagers walk out and there's no one else there. Hey, Karen, the undercover police that are here are glad you left your ex. He's a real idiot. I told my one friend, Walter, from the prosecutor's office. He told me, he said, Karen, you don't realize you've gained quite good favor with quite a few officers. I almost died to save my family. And a lot of them worked carrying around the house state case. Told you, the one guy in Walmart, tall gray hair guy, Canton officer, worked it. He come up to me and he's like, Karen, I'm an officer. I'm going to be walking you out. And he said, I'm actually the one you sing to at night. And I forgot to look into something. I'll take care of it. And he walks in the security office. Told you, the North Canton Jackson Police, June of 19. He actually, I was so embarrassed, walked out in traffic, waved it down them. Everybody stopped traffic. The informants here. I'm like, oh my God, you did not have to do that, but thank you. I told you October 2nd to the 3rd, 21. I'm at Mercy Medical. I'm having headaches. When the Protect Your Life people's outside, she's an informant. I help watch her. All these people are relying on her. I'll make sure nobody says anything to her. They tell everybody. And they notify the police. I didn't have to keep making police reports. I had detectives. I had investigators, undercover police all over me. And then one of them watched or listened to me for the Protect Your Life case. That's where August 11th, where these people are following me. Da 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 da. And I'm telling them. And I'm like, and then how they knew of the photoshopping the drugs and told to say stuff before. And I go to get out of Mentors. The one officer is way off in the distance. Karen's will for today thinks it's funny when it's actually coming out who's doing it to her. And she's right. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. I go in Mentors, they're on the phone, and it really is drug dealers doing this to her. It's drug dealers from New York, and it with a retired judge because he's got a fucking ugly daughter, and nobody wanted them. My ex-husband would jump anything that's a girl. And they were so excited they broke in my door within a few days, started stalking me, photoshopping me, and date rape drugging me. Why I wake up with bruises. Thinking I'd be that stupid that they could say, Karen, we had a corner watch because Dave was dating Michelle. You okay? We used sodium pentothal. It was really ecstasy. We told you to say something stupid. We're going to use it against you. Okay. We photoshopped a shower scene in the other room. I heard about it. You're going to go to jail for this. And like I go off with them and they could kill me somewhere. I'm not that stupid and somebody needs to arrest their dumbasses. And no sheriff, no officer would look at their fucking shit. They don't have a registered protected life case with mine and Dave's statements and me asking for help till I called the 1-800 line. The 1-800 line will assign an agent to you. That's where we'll call me back. Yeah. And that cop talked to Dave and made a statement, and he told people I was an informant. And he knew of the threats in my life. He told the Altman Hospital in 18, I want to talk to her about the threats in life. Doctor's like, she's not talking to anybody. You don't know what happened. Where Dave beat the hell out of him. And he called me an informant and told people to leave his little informant alone. Okay? Someone needs to help me.